Alright guys, so as you can see, I'm currently somewhere else and my guitar looks different. So for the past week, I've been playing with a classical guitar with nylon strings. And I just want to share the differences I've found playing with this and the one I have back home, which is a Fender CD60. Which is an acoustic guitar with metal strings. Surprisingly, it's a lot more different than I thought a classical guitar would be compared to one with metal strings. It sounds much different than what an acoustic guitar with metal strings does. So, first of all, when I picked this up, this is much lighter than my Fender guitar. I don't know if all classical guitars are like that, but this guitar is much lighter and it's also shorter. It's not as long as the one I have. The guitar neck on this, it's definitely shorter than the one I have, and it's also wider, which makes sense because it makes it a lot easier to play like finger picking, fingerstyle songs. This guitar fret is much wider than the one I have, and for some of the chords and stuff, like I have to end up, for example, if I want to do like C chord, I feel like I have to stretch out my fingers more. Which is kind of like a downside, I would say, of this. It's kind of harder to reach around the fretboard if you have to get one of these strings on the other side at the top. But at the same time, because the fretboard is wider, I feel like finger picking, there's more space between the strings. So finger picking becomes much easier. And there's more space here. You can fit your finger. You can fit your fingers much more easily between the strings. There's more space and it's kind of less room for error. I feel like with my other Fender, like it's kind of harder to do that. I feel like there was more room for error. When I was trying to pick one string, sometimes I would hit another string, you know, and like have it buzz or something like that. But with this one, I feel like there's more than enough space and definitely a smaller chance of that happening. Now, probably the most important thing is the sound. The sound is completely different. Probably the main reason is because this has nylon strings and not metal strings. Metal strings are much louder and more crispier sound. I don't know, this one is kind of more mellowed out and softer. But like, I don't know, like this is a G chord, but when I play the G chord on the Fender, it's like so like sharp and in your face, you know? Very different sound, and you know, maybe in some instances this might sound more relaxed and kind of beautiful, but at the same time, I definitely like the sound of my Fender better. It's more rich, I would say. The other sound is definitely a lot more rich. This is more like calm, mellowed out, relaxed. It's not as dense as I would say as the Fender with the metal strings is. Now, also the strings, because they're made out of nylon, they are much, much softer. And I feel like it's definitely a lot easier to play than metal strings. It's easier to kind of move them around. They don't fight back with you as much, and definitely less pain in the fingers, I would say. With the metal strings, it's a lot more painful to play them, especially the bottom strings on the regular acoustic guitar. They're so thin, like they just like, I feel like they cut through your skin, like they just sink into your skin, and it's really, I don't know, sometimes they can be really painful, but these ones are, like the bottom strings here are actually thick. They're like, they're probably the same width as the top ones, you know, but on the metal, it's definitely not the same thing. These top ones are much thicker, and then as you go down, they get much, much thinner. And it makes the bottom strings a lot harder to play, kind of. On this, it's definitely a lot easier to play the strings because they're softer. easier to press down on and they don't hurt as much. A little more about this guitar itself is that this is like, so it's a Hochner HC06. It's a pretty old guitar. I think it's like a 30-year-old guitar, and it definitely has some wear and tear to it. Now, if you look at some of the strings, like they're kind of ripping apart. It definitely needs some. They definitely need to be replaced. But I mean, you can still play it. The bridge down here is like peeling off. I don't know if you can see. I'm like a little bit worried that like while I'm playing, it's just gonna fly off and like hit me or something. You can definitely see there's like some bending going on with the wood. This neck is definitely slightly bent up. I don't know if, I feel like it's, like this neck is definitely slightly bent up. And it's kind of crazy to think about it, like how much, definitely bent up right there. And it definitely changes some things because it makes, now there's like a lot more space between the strings and the fretboard, and it makes it harder to play. So I remember with my guitar, there was definitely less space between the string and the fretboard. And so you didn't have to press down on it much to, for example, play a note. Okay, but for this, you kind of have to press down on it more. There's like, you have to hop over the strings or whatever. It's a little, definitely needs some maintaining. You know, this fretboard is a little cooked. It needs to be, I don't know if this is like even fixable, but the fretboard is definitely bent and it kind of affects how you play. Because I have to press down. There's more space I need to cover pressing down a string, and it's a little annoying. Like on my Fender, I remember there was definitely less space that I had to cover. But other than that, it's in decent shape. I feel like for 30 years, it's not in horrible shape. The one thing I would say is like tuning. You definitely have to tune this a lot more frequently than my other Fender. Like my other Fender, I could leave it for like 2-3 weeks and it'll be barely out of tune. It's probably also because it has metal strings. It's probably harder to get those out of tune than this. Because these are softer strings, they probably stretch more easily or something. But this, I would say, one of the strings like every day goes out of tune. And I don't know if it's because it's old or because nylon strings are always like that. It might be a mix of both, but that was just like another thing that I realized while playing with this. So I don't know. Now I'm just gonna play some of the songs that I've been playing and maybe compare how they both sound on the acoustic and on this. So I don't know. I'll start with Knocking on Heaven's Door, and I don't know. I'll see whatever I play. I'll just show. Maybe do a comparison of one and the other, and show you guys. So. Alright, I'll also play like country roads. Also, can anybody tell me why like the top strings are metal but the bottom three are like nylon? Like, I never understood that about the guitar, to be honest. It's the same thing with mine actually, but these ones are just like a lot smaller. Like they're like plasticky. why do these always have like, I don't know. So hey guys, that's it for today. This has been my experience, first time playing a classical guitar compared to an acoustic with metal strings. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know if I would prefer to have this instead of my Fender. I feel like the sound on the Fender is so much better. But I don't know, it's very different. This one is cool too. They're both good either way. There's just like, I don't know, slightly different with sound, with the width of the fretboard. It kind of changes things. Probably for finger picking songs better, but it's not like you can't do it on the Fender at the same time, you know. So yeah, guys, classical guitar, very cool experience. See you guys in the next one.